In this video, we're going to test all 6 different types of tier 5 mercenary units. Let's get right into it. Starting with the Sword Sisters, looking at the mounted side. These units have a light crossbow, so they're not all that great, but let's see how they hold up against comparable horse archers. In this case, we still have a little bit of balanced power in our favor, just because we have higher tier units. They've got a couple tier 3 units mixed in there. And for all the tests, we're going to press F6 and let them command and do what they want. And we can see at the very end, 42 versus 52 kills, the Sword Sisters are not performing well at all. Although I suspect a lot of that has to do with their equipment because their stats are pretty good. Now let's redo this test with the veteran Sword Sisters who are on foot, but also have better equipment like the heavy crossbow. And we're going to use the same number of units, which seems to have a similar power level. This one was a bit of a massacre, only 30 kills to 61 kills. It's pretty bad. Although a lot of that has to do with not having a mount to soak up some damage, so they can't really take that much punishment. Now let's look at the elite hired crossbow, who has a bit more crossbow skill than the others at 140, and also has a bound crossbow, which is the best in the game. We see a similar power level as the others as well. It came down to the last handful of men. With 11 left on the mercenary side, we see 74 kills versus 50 in the favor of these mercenaries. Much better results than the Sword Sisters. And for the final ranged mercenary unit, the veteran Outrider. These guys are tier 5 as well, are using a step warbow, which is pretty decent, along with some step arrows. And once again, their stats are quite good, 130 bow. And this time we actually see a little bit higher power level. "74 kills versus 50. Not bad at all. These are much better results than anything the Sword Sisters had to put up. And now for the first of the melee units, the Elite Mercenary Macemen. These guys have decent stats at 140 one-handed and 130 athletic. They also have a shield on all 3 of their loadout sets, so they should be decent against archers. I'm not really sure I was expecting anything else. Horse archers completely destroy unguarded infantry. 7 kills to 61. And I know how much everybody loves to see these meme units in action, the hired elite pikemen. They do use a polearm that is braceable, however they don't have a shield, so they're just going to get completely wrecked. Now, I don't think anybody expected these guys to win the battle, however, I am quite shocked how many kills they got compared to the heavy macemen. 26 versus 61, they actually did quite well considering the situation they were in. Now we repeat the test, but this time we're going against foot archers and we're using only 40 of our own troops. We see a pretty disappointing result here in the gallant Sword Sisters. These are the mounted crossbow. 51 kills to 41. We did get more kills, however there's still 13 enemy troops left. And again, we see a big mix of the quality of units, whereas we had only tier 5. So this should have been a landslide victory. Now we check the Sword Sisters that start out on foot. They actually hold up okay in the beginning, but I think the numbers are just too much. We see 31 versus 38, and a total loss for the mercenary side. And again, we repeat the same test, and this time we're using the veteran Outrider, which are the horse archers. And as expected, we see a complete domination. 64 kills on our side versus 3 for the enemy. This was a stomp. Now let's see how good the hired crossbowmen are. It's a complete stomp, with the only unit going down being our main character, who has no skills or gear whatsoever, so there's no surprise there. I'm really shocked at how good these units are. 64 kills, 1 death. Now let's see how good the macemen are against other troops on foot. Okay, I didn't see that coming at all. These guys are terrible. They got stomped by lower tier archers who have weaker equipment and less skilled than they do. What a complete waste of a unit. And for the memes, we're going to test the pikemen as well. No surprise here, they got stomped. They don't have a shield in their equipment loadout, and for some reason the AI was very passive and just sat back taking shots. 14 versus 41, complete loss. Now, I've still got hopes for these mercenary macemen. Let's try them out against an army filled with strictly infantry. Nope, they still get stomped. And these guys had a lot of tier 2 Scolder recruits. This is terrible. Don't use these guys. And of course, to be a little bit thorough, we're going to test the elite pikemen as well against that same group of infantry only. And no surprise here, they performed about as well as the macemen. However, these guys don't even have shields, so it's kind of sad that the macemen did as bad as them. 8 kills to 49. And because we all know pikemen are supposed to counter cavalry, let's go ahead and fight against the cavalry-only army. And as expected, they performed quite well against the cavalry. However, they do have a braceable spear, which they decided not to use. So let's retest it, and we'll keep command here and make sure that they use the spear brace. And we're going to stay 2 ranks deep for the most part. That'll give us the best chance of having a good pike brace. Now you can see the lines do brace, and it is a very effective brace. Now that the lines meet, we'll give a charge command. We see a beautiful result here from our pikemen. They did really well. 75 kills with only 11 deaths. The first charge alone killed about 10 to 15 of the enemy troops. However, after the first charge, they didn't cycle charge very far away, so it didn't make sense to stay in a line formation. It's better to give the charge command and get those pikes thrusting. These guys are really good against mounted units. Let's finish up by doing a quick recap. The Gallant Sword Sisters should not be used in any situation. Neither should the ones on foot. These units are terrible, they need to be reworked. I suspect a lot of it has to do with their equipment. They don't have helmets. The mounted ones have a light crossbow. Even the ones on foot have no helmet and a heavy crossbow, which requires only 20 skill. The bound crossbow requires 70 and is significantly stronger. Do not use the Sword Sisters whatsoever. The Outrider is about on par with any of the other horse archers from the Khazate line, aside from the Khonsguard. They have decent gear, 24 arrows in the quiver, and the armor is not half bad. The elite mercenary macemen are awful. They didn't perform well against cavalry, archers, or even low-tier melee units. Do not use these guys whatsoever. The elite hired crossbow are what I would consider the best of all the mercenary units in the game. They have a bound crossbow which does a ton of damage, they have reasonably good armor, and they perform very well in combat, whether it's against mounted or units on foot. The elite pikemen fulfill their role very well, countering melee cavalry. However, if you're fighting against anything else, I would not use them or keep them in the back of the army so they can stay safe. So I hope you're not too depressed at how terrible the Sword Sisters are in battle. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.